Welcome to the Uncensored Self Podcast. I am your host, Ryann Gillen, and on this show, ambitious women learn how to create a life they're obsessed with, without the hustle, without the grind, without torturing ourselves, and without following anybody else's rules. This podcast is all about creating our own rules, owning our identity as creator, and hitting every single goal we set for ourselves. Together, we're redefining success on our terms and building lives that look as good as they feel. Let's dive in. And we are back for session 4 of the Energetics of Winning podcast series, where I'm going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is money, the energetics of money. But I first want to start with just a reminder of what this series is about and why you're here. Because to win, you must be an energetic match for winning. The problem that most of us have is that we play to not lose, right? We are an energetic match to stress, overwhelm, frustration, all of the different things. And we are not an energetic match to the lives and the businesses and the careers that we want to have. But when it comes to money, what are we talking about? What's really the topic here? Because it's not about pieces of paper or coins. It's not about numbers on a computer screen. It's not about numbers in a 401k or an investment account or anything like that. It's about being an energetic match for money and taking away all of the power that we put into money. Because that is really, truly, to me, in my opinion, the energetics of money is not worrying about money, not thinking about money, not letting money be an issue in anything that you do in life. And everybody thinks that has to do with a dollar amount, right? Like once I have X number of dollars in the bank, then I will feel this way, or then I will no longer think about it, and then I will no longer worry about it, because I have talked to people with millions of dollars in the bank, hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank, and negative bank balances, and they have all had a fear of not enough money. So that tells us that the actual dollar amount of money is not what makes us an energetic match for money. It's the energy we put out. It's our feelings around it. It's our stories around it. It's the power that we give it that is actually creating our money situation. And I'm very transparent about this. This is not a course or a program or a training around the manifestation of money. Money has been my biggest teacher. It is my tool, and I have leaned into that. But I would be remiss to avoid teaching about the energetics of money as it relates to business, because business is so wrapped up in money. So many people got into business because of money, right? We see the success of business based on how much money the business is making, right? So there's a lot of correlation between business, career, success, and the amount of money that we're making. So this is a really, really important conversation. For me, I don't know where my money story came from. I grew up middle class. We never really hurt for anything. My parents worked really hard, but I somehow developed a story that money was the solution to all the problems. And my sales career started very, very young, but it was before that, right? Like even going to college, choosing a college, I needed to get a scholarship because my parents didn't have the money to send me to the school that I wanted to go to. Like I remember being told that, like that's as far back as it goes. And I remember having conversations about money with my family, but I very much thought that money would solve all my problems. Once I have enough money, make enough money, do all this, then it will solve all my problems. And as somebody who's made a shit ton of money and lost a shit ton of money and been in a shit ton of debt and all of those different things, filed bankruptcy, etc., bought houses, sold houses, bought cars, sold cars, all the things, I can tell you that money actually has nothing to do with the actual amount of money. Nothing to do with the amount of money. Because like I said, I know people with millions of dollars in the bank that are nervous about money. I know people with hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank that are nervous about money. And I know people with like enough money to cover a few expenses that are not nervous about money at all, because they don't get wrapped up in that. And that is why this is an energetic game and not actually about manifesting more money or calling in more money, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is the difference between need versus desire. I think there's so many of us that move through the world thinking, I need more money. I need more money. And what I learned when I went through a really rough patch with money back in 2020, 2021, is that you don't need nearly as much money as you think you do. You want a lot of money. You want more money, but you don't need. And there's a very big energetic difference between need and desire. Need comes from a place of lack. It comes from a place of neediness. It comes from a place of I don't have. And that energy is repelling as fuck, right? The energy of desire, I desire bigger expansion. I desire more experience. I desire a different experience of life and of money, is again, a very different energy. So I think it's also just being really mindful of our language about money. Because like I said, a lot of people will tell me that they need more money, but I'm like, food, shelter, all the basics covered, bills paid. You don't need. You're putting out an energy of need, which is what's wreaking havoc in your financial situation, but you don't actually need, you desire. And when we can step into desire, then we create so many more exciting things. And so that's really what I'm going to talk about with you today, because needing and wanting money are very, very different. Because needing, like I said, is that lack frequency. Desiring is the abundance frequency. It's the desire for expansion, which is what we're here to do anyway. But what I think is so challenging for so many of us about money is the mind fuck that society has given us around money, right? We all want more money. We think that money is the key to success, but people with money are not highly regarded, right? Think of the people that you watch right now in this time space reality. The people that have a lot of money are constantly vilified. They're immoral, they're morally bankrupt, they're bad people, they're ripping people off. Like there's a whole conversation happening online about whether or not it's, okay to be a billionaire. Is that something that you should even want? Like, is that morally okay? But then again, we need money to survive. And if you don't have enough money, you're a fucking loser, right? So there's this really dichotomy of energies around money where we're like, well, I think I want more money. Like, I think I want to expand more. I think I want to experience more, but I also I'm not immoral. I'm not willing to do bad things. I don't want to do bad things. I want to do good with my money. And so we just go round and round and round with, is it okay to want to make more money, right? Is it okay to want money, to say that I want money, for money to be something I put on my vision board, to be something I desire? Yes, 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 and yes. I truly believe, and this is my conspiracy theory hat, which you guys have probably come to know, love, and respect at this point in the game, is that the reason why money has become such a mindfuck is because as long as they can control the money, they can control us, right? Money is control. It's a medium of control. It's not even real. It's totally fucking made up. Somebody was like, this dollar right here, this is one on it, is worth $1, and this one is worth 100. But it's because we all agreed to it. That's the only reason that it works. It's made from the same motherfucking piece of paper. Why is one worth $1 and one worth 100? Right? Same thing. So much of our money now is electronic. It's a fucking number on a computer screen. You're letting a number on computer screen tell you whether or not you're good enough. Like when you really think about that, it's kind of bananas. And then if you were raised in religion or in the church, it's even worse because money is the root of all evil, right? Suffering is virtuous. We celebrate people who suffer in the name of the church, right? And so we have these contradictions around, I want all of these incredible things and I want to have these incredible experiences and I want to grow my business or my career to a certain level so I can make an impact and I can help more people and I can do what I feel called to do. But I'm also terrified to do that because if I have a lot of money, will people think I'm a bad person? Well, I think I'm a bad person. Will I become a bad person? Well, I have to do illegal and immoral things to make it happen. And we go round and round and round. And you wonder why this topic is so emotionally charged for so many people. And it just wreaks havoc in so many lives. And like I said, this is a broad brushstroke, regardless of how much money you actually have. It's wreaking havoc for most people because they don't understand that money is purely energy. They think it has something to do with safety. They think it has something to do with worthiness. They think it has something to do with power or how good they are at what they do. And so we've given all this power to money. And then again, we make people feel bad for wanting it. It's fucking bananas when you think about it. So this conversation specifically in this energetics of winning series is actually not about making more money, right? It's about really healing your relationship with it. Because what I have come to learn and understand is that money reflects your energetic state. The amount of money that you are able to call into your life is a direct reflection of your energetic state. Abundant energy, more money. Guilt, shame, lack, scarcity, not enough money, right? I mean, that's literally this. I could end this right here and be done. When you feel abundant, when you feel expansive, when you feel excited, when you have a good idea, when you're sharing from your heart, when you're coming from love and gratitude and peace and excitement and genuinely doing good in the world, you are an energetic match to more money because you're an energetic match to more. The problem is that most of us go through the world in a space of lack, right? Guilty for wanting money, shame for not having enough money, constantly stressed about where am I going to find more money? What are the people going to think if I want money? Which are all really negative emotions, really negative frequency or really low frequency, which means we are not an energetic match for more money. So what we need to do is we need to take money off the pedestal. We need to stop giving money all of our power because that's what we do. We've given money so much fucking power of how we move through the world. And again, not sure, do we want it? Do we not want it? Are we good? Are we bad? And it just energetically, I can just feel it in my body right now. It just feels gross, right? But what I want to teach you, show you, demonstrate to you is that you influence money. Money does not influence you. I'm going to say that again. You influence money. Money does not influence you. If your money is influencing you right now, it is because you are allowing it to do so. And there's one of you thinking right now that's like, but, Ryan, I don't know how I'm going to pay my mortgage, or I've got kids to put through college, or I've got a wedding to pay for, or I've got bills to pay. So does everybody fucking else. You are not a special snowflake. This does not apply to you just because you need it right now to pay for something. Money does not influence you. You influence money. And when you get that, the power that money has over you goes away. That's what we're going for here. Because when we focus less on how much and more on how you want to feel, who you want to impact, what ripple effect you want to create in the world, that is when your relationship with money changes. When it's just about more money, more money, more money, so you can see a dollar amount on that when you open the app on your phone, that's not going to actually fill the hole that you think that it is going to. And again, speaking from personal experience, speaking from experience of my clients and plenty of other wealthy people that I've talked to, right? What this is really about when it comes to the energetics of winning, and then of course inside of business therapy, is how do you want to feel? How do you want to feel? Because to me, like I said, I don't want money to ever be a factor in a decision that I make. And I don't know if there's a dollar amount that comes, that comes along with that. I don't know. But to me, I want to not give my power to money. I want to use my power to direct money. And that's what we're talking about here. Because when chasing an income goal, you constantly live in the gap. You're constantly living in the gap. If you decide I want to have $1 million year this year, you spend the majority of the year in the gap. And if you can't manage your emotions well enough to live in that gap without feeling like shit, then you're not going to hit your goal. That's literally what I created business therapy for, is to teach us how to live in the gap without falling apart, to teach us how to live in the gap without making it mean something about who we are as humans, the ability to live in the gap without making it mean that I'm not good enough, smart enough, and it's never going to happen for me. It's the emotional intelligence of the gap that most of us don't have. We just look at the gap and we're like, shit, I suck. I'm not good enough. This is never going to happen. I didn't even want it anyway. What the fuck is wrong with me? And all the other things that we tell ourselves, right? Because we're constantly measuring our self-worth against an unmet number. So of course you always feel like shit. And of course you can't attract something that you need to feel abundant to attract when you're constantly looking at the gap. So what I teach my clients, what I personally do, is focus on the tangible outcomes instead. How many clients do you want to call in? How many lives do you want to change? How many transactions do you want to do? Like, what is that thing, that the impact that you want to make? Who is impacted? Who is impacted when you win? Who is impacted when you win? If you spent more time focusing on, I have got people to serve, I've got lives to change, I've got magic to happen, instead of, oh my God, I'm not going to hit my income goal, your entire life will change. Your entire life will change. So we really have to start thinking about it. How does money control you? How are you allowing money to control you? What do you think of people with money? This is a really great place to start. How do you speak about money? Like saying things like, I can't, that's expensive. We don't do that at all in my house. We're not even, like my kids, we don't learn that. We don't learn about expensive. Because expensive compared to what? Compared to what? Because for some people it's expensive, for others it's not. Money is really about value. How much money you're willing to spend on something is how important you value it. We took the kids to the movies over spring break, and Davis, my 8-year-old who fucking hears everything, right, is like, well, we don't want to buy candy at the movies because it's expensive. And Derek, my partner, he's like, buddy, expensive again, compared to what? It's expensive because of what you've been told, but you don't even know what the fuck expensive means. But he said the reason why they charge a premium for candy at the movie theater is because it's a convenience. It's a convenience of it being there for you. You're already there. You didn't have to go to Target or Walmart or somewhere else to buy candy. You could buy it there. So you pay a premium for convenience. We all do that, right? You pay for DoorDash. You pay a premium for the convenience of it being brought to your house, right? You pay a premium for somebody to valet park your car, right? Because of the convenience. So it's not that the candy is expensive. You're paying for convenience, and you have to decide, is that convenience important to you? And I thought that was just such a beautiful example as he talked him through that of expensive is relative, because to some people spending $10 on M&Ms is not expensive. They don't care, right? But to somebody else, they're like, oh my gosh, it's M&Ms, it's bananas, right? But it's the story behind it. It's not even the dollar amount, right? So when we start thinking how money controls us, what do we think of people with money? How do we speak about money? What stories do we tell ourselves about money? Do we judge people based on their money, both rich and poor? I've seen people do both, right? We judge people with no money, but again, money is evil. We judge people with a lot of money, but again, money is evil, but then we want to make more money, and we're constantly scrambled around this. And so money is flowing through you based on how much you allow it. But if you're constantly speaking about it in a way that is not favorable, then it's not going to work for you. You're not going to hit those income goals. So again, what I'm trying to do here is help us demystify that, pull that apart, take the power back from money, and realize that, again, we are the ones influencing. So let's talk about some common money scenarios that I have seen, and then some of the energetic blocks that they reveal. This is a big one that happens in business a lot. This happened to me personally. I've talked to people about this. Is you make a lot of money, right? You have a banner year, and then you start making less. Right? And then it wreaks havoc, not just on your finances, but there's the shame and the guilt and the embarrassment and the what is wrong with me. This is a huge one that I see for people, right? Because we've got our self-worth attached to our income. If I don't make more money this year than I made last year, then I must suck, right? Which is Not true at all, right? Fluctuations in business and things like that are completely normal. Fluctuations in markets are normal. Fluctuation in priorities is also normal, right? Like not everybody's always trying to beat last year's number, but we've got our self-worth so wrapped up in it that if we can't beat last year's number, we're a piece of shit. And that is a really dangerous place to be when it comes to money. We want money, but we believe people with money are bad. We talked about that, right? This comes a lot from childhood, religious programming, and this just naturally creates resistance. I want it, but I think it's bad. So again, it's just a constant scramble in your brain and your signal isn't clear, right? We have people who believe that money is hard to make. This was a big part of my story, right? We must suffer, we must sacrifice, we must grind because that is the way that we make money, because that's what's required in order to make money. And so it ties money to struggle, which then means we can make a lot of money, but we have to, again, try really hard, work really hard. We have to suffer, we have to grind. So then we have a hard time with easy money. So that's a really big one I see a lot as well. I also hear a lot of I'm not good with money, right? And this is, I'm very specifically coming for the women in this community right now. Very common, right? We learned, first, it's not our fault though, right? Like women weren't even allowed to have bank accounts in my mother's lifetime, like, which is just bananas to think about. But a lot of women think I'm not good at money and they defer to their partner, or they defer to a man, or they defer to what they watch on the news or what their parents said or what a financial planner says and never really take the time to learn about money ourselves. And so we give away a lot of our power around money. So then we're just like, nope, not going to do it. Right. I remember having a conversation with a woman who was like, I'm so embarrassed that I've made so much money and I don't have anything to show for it. And I don't know anything about money. And so she's in this place where she's completely stuck. She's like frozen right now because all of her power is in money. And then the guilt and the shame that's associated with it instead of actually taking action. So how do we shift? How do we shift our energy with money, right? That's why you all are here, is we have to take back our power, right? Money is not the source of your power, you are. Money is not the source of your power, you are. Money is not the source of your power, you are. And anything you chase runs away. I've said this before and I'll say this again. Anything you chase runs away. So if you are chasing money to feel good enough, smart enough, worthy enough, successful enough, whatever it is going to run from you because it can smell your needy energy from miles away. You guys know all about needy energy. We've talked about needy energy, but think about it. Have you had somebody in your life who was really needy and no matter how much attention you gave them, they needed more or they did things because they wanted a reaction out of you? I had a friend like that who was just like, constantly up my ass all of the time with this horrible needy energy where it wasn't because she was actually giving me the attention. She wanted the attention from me. And so that energy was really repelling. I was like, I don't want your fake, affection just so I will respond to it. That doesn't feel good to me. I don't want that. That's not a relationship I want to engage in. But that's what we do with money, right? We chase it, we chase it, we chase it, we chase it, and we tell it it's not good enough and we don't want it. And we're so bad for having it. And what the fuck is wrong with me? And why can't I figure it out? We're like, oh, I don't understand why I just can't fix this problem with money that I have, right? So we have to evaluate our relationship with money. If money were a person, and this is one of my favorite things to do. I like to write letters to money a lot because the truth of the matter is if money were a person, it wouldn't hang out with you either. It wouldn't hang out with you either. Would you hang out with somebody who thought about you, talked to you, and treated you like that? Fuck no, you would not. You would not. I wouldn't, right? So do you trust it? Do you respect it? Do you speak well of it? Do you expect it? Because if not, then that's not what you're getting. We also have to stop making money the villain, right? Money isn't stopping you. Beliefs are. Your beliefs are, your feelings are, your stories are. Because again, money isn't controlling you. You're the one driving. You're just letting it control you. Money is neutral. You assign the meaning to it. You give the power to it, which means you can take the power away. You can take the power away. Another thing that I want to talk about a little bit is investing versus spending, right? Spending, money goes out and never comes back. I see people all the time that are afraid to spend money because if I spend it, it won't come back. Right? Well, then change your language, right? Because an investment is an energy exchange that creates return. When I invest in the stock market, when I invest in a business, when I invest in myself, right? I invest expecting a return of some kind. Most of us don't invest, we spend. So when we shift our mindset to like, I am the ultimate asset, and every single time I invest money from everything from paying my mortgage to buying new shoes to paying for my kids' college to investing in a coaching program, that I get a return. Because if you expect a return, you will get one. But most people expend it and they expect it not to come back and then they're pissed off, right? Start changing your language around that. What I invest in, I get back. Because if you spend from fear or lack, it won't come back. If you spend from fear or lack, it won't come back. I see this a lot. I did a lot of this, right? Well, I'm just gonna hire this coach. I'm just gonna do this thing. I'm just gonna invest in this thing. I'm not sure if it's gonna work for me, but gosh, I just need the help and I need somebody to figure it out. And we invest from fear, and they're like, yeah, that didn't go the way that I wanted it to. Of course not, because what you put out, you get back. The energy game here, right? What we put out, we get back. This is, I think, such an important conversation. So here's one of the things that I want to talk about, because I want to talk about having our power over money. right? Like ask yourself, how much power does money have over me? And if you've ever said, I can't because I can't afford it, if you've never not booked the vacation, not bought the coaching, not hired the person because of money, then money has power over you. How often money dictates your decisions, over your emotions, over your self-worth. Money has power over you. But the real truth is the number in your bank account actually has nothing to do with your value. It has nothing to do with your worthiness. It has nothing to do with your good enoughness. It is merely a number that is completely fucking made up that you have given power, because you get to decide how money feels, how it flows, how it functions in your life. You get to decide that. You have just made a decision whether or not it flows freely, whether or not it comes in, whether it leaves quickly, whether you invest and get an ROI or whether you spend and lose the money. You decide every single time. And until you own that power, money will always have power over you. And that is why business therapy is such an important conversation. But I will tell you, it's not a money manifestation program, guys. Business therapy isn't a money manifestation program. It is about taking back your power. And I would be remiss if we didn't talk about money, because it has so much of our power and so much of our success and our accomplishment and our worthiness are wrapped up in that. So all I'm going to do for you in this program is help you take back your power from all the things that you haven't, in money included. Right? But if you want to do business differently, if you want to not chase money all the time, if you want to not live in a constant state of lack and not good enough and chase and hard work and suffer and struggle, then business therapy is an opportunity for you, right? It's about doing business in an aligned way, in a grounded way, in a powerful way, in a magnetic way, where we, again, are the ones with all of the power, not the clients, not the money, not the house or the car or the promotion or wherever you think that the power is. That's not what we're doing here, right? We're like, hey, I'm the power. Business therapy is about, I am the power and I influence the things outside of me. How do I do that, right? Because when you shift your energy, the results will follow, and money is included in that, okay? Money is included in that. But this is also a really charged conversation, because there's a lot of you listening to this right now when you're like, well, Ryann, if I had the money, I would, right? If I had the money, I would. And here's my challenge for you. Do you really not have the money, or are you afraid to spend the money and it won't come back? And if you really don't have the money, then you don't have the money. Own your fucking no, right? Nope, don't have the money. But if you are somebody who has the money, maybe it's in a savings account or you have access to it in some way, but you're afraid to spend it because once I spend it, it is gone, then we go back to the ROI, the investing conversation, right? Are you willing to invest in yourself and let that asset appreciate, or do you need that money in the bank for you to feel safe? Are you willing to invest in yourself so that you can become the best version of yourself, or do you need that money in the bank so that you feel safe and secure just in case an emergency happens? Like, think about the power. I have money in a savings account in case an emergency happens, and I'm not worthy enough to invest in myself because that emergency might happen. What sort of attitude is that? What sort of energy is that? That's not an energy of winning. That's an energy of not losing. And you can play to win or you can play to not lose. But in business therapy, we learn how to take back our power. We learn how to play to win. And we learn how to manage our emotions when it doesn't go the way that we want it to. Because if you can master those three things, you will become so incredibly unstoppable and powerful that money will never be an issue for you ever, ever again. We start live on April 7th, April 8th, I think. But the week of April 7th, we're going to totally blow the fucking lid off of the second quarter of this year and completely change the way you do business, the way you show up professionally, the way you show up in your career, the way you show up with money, the way you show up in your relationships, because it's all related. Money just happens to be the one that the whole world is aligned on until we're not. See you in the next one.
Thank you for tuning in to the Uncensored Self Podcast. If you're walking away with a new perspective, some fresh inspiration, or the push you needed to show up as your uncensored self, I'd love to hear about it. Share this episode, leave a review, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Remember, success isn't about following somebody else's rules. It's about owning who you are, deciding what you want, and going after it unapologetically. Until next time, keep leading, keep creating, and stay uncensored.